Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am going to show you how I made this side-loading paper clip with this fun little hand, and you will notice that this pencil he's holding is wooden. It's not paper. Okay, let's get started. So what I'm using, of course, I'm using some multi-grip adhesive. I'm using some ink, distress ink in pumice and fired brick. I'm using a detail black Pink Fresh ink pad, using a hole reinforcer die from my hole reinforcer sets, and a mini paper clip, scrap papers, more scrap papers, a little stamp. I have those old scissors that do the decal edge. I have a hole punch, brads, 3-inch paper clip, a piece. This is actually a piece of a file folder, and it's 2.5 by 6.5 inches. And I have some clamps and my stamps, which I am using the hand and contents enclosed from Wendy Vicky Studio 490, and this miscellaneous set that was sent me a long time ago called Vacation. I have no idea where that came from, or what company that is. Okay, so let's look into this. On this paper, so it is 6.5, but we're going to score it at 3.5. I'm just going to use my little scoreboard. I also want to give my edges a little rounding on that. I have it set on the quarter. Okay, so now when we fold that, give that a little burnish. Now this is going to be our front, and I want to give it a little bit of interest on the inside here. Turn this sideways. That will give me what I need. I'm going to have to round that off again. So the point of having the hand that actually moves is, this is my late paper clip for October, which was, the theme was something that flips. Now I'm using pumice stone to distress because it's not as shockingly dark compared to some of the other colors. I put all my stamps on one block here. So I have the contents enclosed stamp, and I have this kind of a pumpkin color cardstock. And then on mine, you'll notice I stamped the hand in white. You could stamp it in whatever color you want. And I am going to use this. It might not be big enough. I can cut that pencil right off of there. I'm going to let that set a minute. And then on this, I'm going to stamp my little card here right on the front. I'm going to open that up. Now you could use your stamp positioner tool if you wish. You could use a stamp positioner tool, but I figured I like it this way because even if it's not completely dark, it makes it look more vintage. Now I went ahead and I punched a hole and put a hole reinforcer on there, but I realized you can't even see the hole is punched because of the paper underneath. It needs to be a little darker or something. So I'm going to go through and just darken that a little bit so that you will see when I punch that hole. And I am going to use the large hole punch here. Oh, that's right, it doesn't reach. So you'll need to use a hole punch that reaches. I'm using the Crocodile Big Bite here. And then I have a hole reinforcer. That's a little better. I can actually see that there's something dark behind it. And I have this old wooden stamp. It was probably part of a set, and I'm using it in fired brick. Oh, the other thing that I didn't say I used was this gold cording. And I'm just wrapping it around 3 fingers here. Get a few layers of that. And trim that off. And so I have this kind of a loopy looking thing here. And I'm just going to grab it. Oops, I just lost one of my loops. Grab it and twist it once or twice in the middle. Oops, you know what I need to do? I need to cut this out. Let me get that done, because I need to have this all ready to roll. And I could see that I didn't do a great job. Actually, on this one, I tore the edges. So let's do that a little bit here. Let's tear that. And let's distress that as well. Now we're ready to go with this. So I have my little loopy here, which I let go of. So I'm going to just do it all over again with the 3 fingers. Okay, and I'm going to twist that. Put a little dab of this right across there and put that down in there. And then this is going to get glued on top of that. And this is what the clamps are for, because we're gluing this all unevenly. And like that. So while that is setting up, I'm going to grab one of the tiny little paper clips. And these are a Tim Holtz. You got 3 different colors over here. And I'm using the kind of the gold color there. Add that right there. It's so cute. All right. And the other thing I want is to add a little strip of this at the bottom. So I'm going to use these decal edge scissors and cut off a strip and glue that right on the bottom here. So obviously this strip also needs to be 2.5 inches wide. I think I'm a little bit off in my measurements there. The reason I added that was just to have some difference between the top and the bottom here. Okay, so we've got that. We need to work on that hand. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see where I'm cutting on this. So I want the hand. I don't want the paper. I don't want the paper or the pencil that he's holding. Okay, now I'm giving a little bit of extra here. I'm going to trim it down, his sleeve here, but in the meantime, okay, I'm just cutting the extra part of that pencil off. Now, in order to give this some sort of dimension, I'm also going to cut around that finger, his pointer finger there, and around the thumb just a little bit like that. Now, let's work on that pencil. So I am using colored toothpicks. You can obviously use any color you want, and you could use plain toothpicks, and then you would just paint it or leave it wood color. So you could see from here and here, in between it's like a solid parallel lines, but then the lines start sloping. We want to cut that off. And let's see how long we need this. I'm thinking right about there. I'm not using my good craft blade. I'm using one that I reserve just for things like this, because you don't want to really dull your blades. And I'm just pushing down and rolling back and forth to cut that off. It's pretty smooth. If it's not, you can sand that down. And so to give like the lead look, I'm just using a permanent marker. And then instead of doing an eraser on the end, although we could, I've done it before where I've painted a stripe of silver for the metal part, and then I've painted pink for an eraser. This time, I'm just going to use Gold Deco Color Premium by Marby Ushida. And I'm just going to color that in. Now, I need to let this dry. So I'm going to lay this on my stamp here, and so that gold part is sticking up. And then I'm going to trim this off a little bit because I don't need this to be so big. And then we need to do the distressing. If you still think that the stark white here is too new looking, you can just little dabs here and there inside. And now we need to get this on there. So we're going to use our crocodile again, but we're going to use the small hole this time. And get one of these gold brads out. I don't know where I got these from. Frankly, whenever I see them, I pick them up. So they could be from anywhere. Then I'm going to position this. I think we can probably let go of this by now. I'm going to position this where I want it. Make sure I got room for the pencil on there. And I'm going to punch the hole through both of these. Put that brad through. Now when you open your fingers, you're going to notice that if it spins sideways, you'll see it sticking out. So I'm going to turn it this way and give just a little piece of tape over that so it's not spinning. Now that I've got that, I can put my paper clip on there. I'm going to put it with the long bar on the bottom and the double loop on the left. And I'm just going to glue across the top like this. Oops, and then I'm going to clip it again. So I guess we do need those clamps. These pink clamps I got from the crafty area at the dollar store. When I did this one, I did put the pencil in the hand first. That is actually a little easier. I wasn't thinking, got a little too excited. So what I did was, in order to glue it in his hand, I just glued it right over here, from here to here, with this, and laid that on there. Now I want you to know, one thing I did was I did try to lift this finger up and put it on top of the pencil and glue it. I couldn't do it in a way that would make his hand look normal, but I have found that it's still okay just to leave it like this. However, I do want to clamp that right there to make sure that pencil doesn't roll off of the hand. So that's the design. And so this is for a theme that we do in our paperclip art group. Every month we have a theme. And that month's theme was to have a flip or something that spins or moves, something interactive on our project. And so this is what I really thought would be fun, and I enjoyed working with it. Usually I just flip through all my stamps and try to figure out something that would look really good with that theme. Underneath this video, I will give you all the links to the Paperclip Art Group on Facebook, to all my paperclip videos, and to any supplies that I can find links for. Thank you for watching and coming along with me to craft. I have a boatload of videos about paperclip art you won't want to miss.